Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thursday's Tech Garage. And today we're going to be doing a few projects that I think are really fun, but I might have to explain some of the supplies to you. So the Tech Garage bags were the first bags that we made this summer with the intention of it being the first week of camp. And then because of some shipping delays and things like that, we had to move it to the last week of camp. And so the bags that you guys got don't fully match the bag that I have. So I'm not 100% sure that we have the same supplies. So I had to make some changes to the curriculum, some changes to some activities. And so I'm gonna go through the activity with you. It's the Wobble Bot that I'm just the most concerned about your supplies, and tell you kind of where you can pull your supplies from to do the activity. It's super fun. You should have everything you need to be able to do it. So we just might have to pull from some different places inside your supply kit. I did want to show you a couple things first. So yesterday we were talking about your 3D printed project, and I showed you the T-Rex skull that I was attaching to my bristle bot that I had painted. And so if you're still working on your 3D printed projects, I just want to show you my baby Yodas that I have. And so these are the baby Yodas. And like I said, one of my baby Yodas is actually missing his hand. I'm going to come around to the front. So this baby Yoda, poor guy, he's missing his hand right now. I just need to reattach it. If you look at the bottom, he's all white. He was 3D printed on our printer. He was actually printed in 4 pieces. So his head, missing hand, this hand, and then his body are all 4 separate pieces that we printed and then glued together. And then I hand painted him. So this is a hand painted 3D printed object. So that's my baby Yoda. He's getting a little bright there in the lights. And then I also made a mini version. So sorry, it's hard to do this. I feel like I'm in reverse. So this is my mini baby Yoda. Sorry. So these are my 2 baby Yodas. Both of them were 3D printed. The smaller one was printed all as one piece. And again, printed all white. And then I actually hand painted him as well. So those are the 2 baby Yodas that I have. And then last week we had a Harry Potter camp, and we were making floating Dementor jars. So if you've seen Harry Potter, you know they have the Dementors, and they actually fly and float and everything. And so we 3D printed little Dementors, and we put them in this jar with some water beads. And so he looks like he's kind of floating in the jar, but that is a little tiny Dementor that was printed on the 3D printer. So just when you're thinking about your projects and what you're making, there's a lot of cool different things you can do, especially if you like some different movies like Star Wars and Harry Potter. So for today, your projects that we're doing together are electromagnets. We're going to be making our Wobble Bot, and then I'm also going to show you something called a homopolar motor. And so again, I'm not quite sure if you have the correct supplies for that. I'm going to give you the directions in case you do, and if you don't, it's just going to be a cool demo to show you kind of the connection between electricity and magnetism. So the first project that you're going to do, though, is going to be the electromagnets. You're going to look for the bag that says electromagnets and homopolar motor, and inside you're going to find some wire, and there's also some little tiny magnets, and then there's also going to be some paper clips, and there is a big steel nail, and then you're also going to find a D battery. So the other things that you're going to need when you do this is electrical tape, and you're going to need some scissors, and then you might also need your wire strippers. And so what you want to do is you have this wire, you get this coated wire here. You need the ends to be exposed. So you might need to actually use your wire strippers and come over, and again, you got to kind of work them in. You got to be careful that you don't actually just cut the ends off, but you want to go ahead and expose the copper wire that's inside. So I am just kind of gently working off that insulation on both ends, because you need that to be actually exposed to be able to do this. Otherwise, it's not going to make a connection. But you want the rest of the wire to be insulated, and that's going to be that coating that's on the outside. So we're going to go ahead and take off that coating, and that's what I'm doing right here. And again, if you've never done this before, sometimes it takes practice. You might accidentally clip your wires. It's okay. You don't want this to get too short, though. So I'm going to go ahead and keep pulling this insulation off. There we go. All right, so I've got my insulation off on the ends. I've got the copper exposed on the very ends. And then I also have my nail. Your battery is probably wrapped in plastic. You can take that off. So take the plastic off of your battery. Now I'm going to show you one that's already done. So this is one that I've already built. This is my electromagnet. So I've got my battery, I've got my nail, it's wrapped in wire, and then the ends of the wire are taped to the battery with my electrical tape. And so what this does is, because of the electricity that is flowing through that wire wrapped around that steel nail, it actually is going to turn that into a magnet. So what you should be able to do is pick up paper clips. And just to show you, so I've magnetized everything over here. So what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and come over and you want to try and pick up your paper clips. And you want to see if you can actually pick up more than one. See how strong your magnet is. And so if you can pick up more than one, that's pretty good. Right now I can only pick up one. But what's happening is it is actually magnetizing my steel nail and turning that into a magnet. Now, when we do this experiment here, usually I give students the option of different lengths of wire. And so we have people who take the easy route, they take the smallest section, and then we have people who want the more challenging version, they take the long version. And so this one, the more of this wire that you have coiled around, the stronger that magnet will be. It also depends on how well you coil the wire. So if you make a big, loose, kind of sloppy coil, it's not going to be as strong. If you do a tighter coil around your nail, it's going to be a stronger magnet. So, sorry, my wire was a little cut too much on that, so I got to fix the end here and get some more of that insulation off. So, I'm going to get that insulation off. Come on. And then we will go ahead and start wrapping this on. So again, there we go. There we go. All right. So I will say this is very springy and bendy. So when you do this, you want to leave a tail down here. You don't want to coil it all the way. So I'm leaving a bit of a tail up here. And I'm going to start to coil. And I'm going to coil pretty tightly around my nail. It's okay if it overlaps. You can try it. If you want to cut the wire and try a shorter segment, and then later come back and coil more of it back on, you can try that. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap all of it. I'm going to wrap all of it pretty tight around my nail. And wrapping. Now, I will tell you what I've discovered. This wire, the wire I usually use, is a little bit stiffer and will stay coiled. This one kind of wants to spring back at me. So what I've been doing is using some of my electrical tape to hold it in place. And so take that electrical tape that you have. I'm going to cut some of it off. And I'm just going to use it to kind of try and secure some of my wire on here, because it's kind of wanting to spring back at me. So again, on this end and this end, I am leaving little tails of, get back on. I'm leaving little tails of my copper wire on here. And then I'm going to come over to my battery. And again, you're going to need electrical tape to hold it in place. I'm going to go ahead and tape the copper to the ends of the battery. And you tape it in place so that it has a good connection. That's why we had to expose that copper wire. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to tape this in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And so I'm going to come over here and take the other end and tape it to the other board. Oh, my other side came in taped, so I'll fix that. The tape wasn't secure. So we're going to take this side to place like that. So now I have my nail with my copper wire attached to my battery. And then I want to come over and see if I can pick up my nails. And yes, we've gone ahead and magnetized that. I just want to see, oh, mine's still not strong enough. I may actually try to add some more wire. So you want to see if you can actually get, oh, no, this time I got two. So you want to try and pick up those paper clips, see how many you can pick up, see how strong your magnet is, see if you can get them in a long chain, or if you can just get multiple ones to be picked up by the nail in different places. So just try that out, see what you can do. If you look on the sheet that has your directions, in case you're doing this on your own, there is also the science behind the experiment on there, of course. And so this one that you've got here, it's an electromagnet. It's a magnet that can be turned on and off. And so it's only magnetic when the electricity is flowing. So the only time that this section is going to be magnetic is when there's electricity flowing through it from the battery. Now, I will tell you, you want to detach this when you're not using it, because there is electricity flowing through it through the battery. It can get hot. You don't want to leave this unattended for that reason. So you do want to go ahead and take this apart when it's not in use. I'm just going to leave my tape on there. But yeah, you want to go ahead and take apart your electromagnet when you're not using it, just so you're not wasting the battery and also not leaving something that's heating up on its own. I'm going to set this to the side. So the next experiment is the homopolar motor. And so with this one, you're going to need, and this is why I'm not sure what you have. If you look in your kit and you find it's uninsulated copper wire, it's very bright, shiny copper wire. That means it's uninsulated. There's no plastic on the outside. You will be able to do this experiment. So if you have that copper wire, and then you need a little bag of those two tiny magnets. So those are really strong magnets that are in there. And we're going to be using that to make our motor. Now what I did, and I'm going to come up and show you, is I took that copper wire and I loosely coiled it around my battery and then made kind of like a U shape on the top. And so I'm going to walk up so you can kind of see that up close. All right, so my wire's coiled around and I've got that little, it's hard to look in the screen and do this. I've got that little hook shape here, because what I want to do is when I'm ready to start this, I want the top of that little hook, I'm going to balance it on the very tippy top of my battery. At the bottom, that coil needs to be a tiny bit tighter, because what's going to happen is I'm going to put the magnets on the bottom of my battery. I need the copper wire to actually touch the magnets on the bottom, but still be loose enough to be able to spin. Okay, so what we're going to do, and this is a very big balancing act when you do this experiment, it may take you a couple tries. The cool thing is you can also do different shapes with this. This is just an easy one that seems to balance pretty well. But even with me, mine still wants to fall to the side. So you see, see, it's not quite perfect. So when I put my wire on here, it's going to start to spin around the battery. And so again, that is because of the electricity that's now flowing through that copper wire. And so we're going to get this really cool spinning motion that happens with this. And so that's why it's a motor, because it has that spinning motion. But you see mine's even now a little bit off balance, so it keeps wanting to stop because it loses its connection with either the magnet or the tippy top of my battery. So with this, you might have to practice a little bit with coiling your copper wire if you have it. But again, you need a AA battery, a little bit of copper wire. I probably have about a foot of copper wire. And then those little tiny magnets that you had in there are going to work really well. So I'm trying to get my balance one more time. See if we can get it spinning one more time before we stop. There we go. There he goes. And so yeah, really cool. You get that spinning motion. Once you've figured out how to do this, you can also try and make funny shapes. Like I've seen people make little dancers that sit on top and it looks like a dancer spinning around the battery, which is pretty cool. I've seen people turn it into little hearts that balance on it. If you look this up online, you can find other shapes that you can do for this one, but it is pretty cool to kind of watch it look like it's spinning on its own. So that's going to be your homopolar motor. I'm going to put that one to the side. Again, same thing with your electromagnet. Don't want to leave everything connected. There is electricity flowing through here. When you touch the items, you are going to feel that things start to get a little bit warm because of that electricity, so you don't want to leave them unattended. All right, moving our supplies out of the way. So this next project is going to take you more time to build. So originally, we had in your kit directions to do something called a steady hand game and a scribble bot. I think that you did not get the right supplies for the steady hand game, so I switched it to do a wobble bot. But I do want to show you what the steady hand game looks like. And so I'm going to unattach this. It should be ready to go. So we had to put tape on here because if it's just touching, it's just going to keep making a really loud whining noise, and you'll hear why. If you've ever played the game Operation, this is the same concept. So they really made to wrap the tape around here pretty good yesterday because it kept making connection, which meant the game works, but then I couldn't get it to a point where it wasn't touching. There it goes. I know you're touching. All right, so I'm gonna get this tape off. We got this tape on here really good yesterday. And I didn't want it to go off while we were talking about the other projects. All right, I'm gonna come up close so you can see this game. Again, I'm just not sure how much copper wire you were given, which is why I changed the directions. I did ask Matt to go ahead and add the directions for the steady hand game. If you have the copper wire, you can make the game. So I'm gonna come up and show you. I'm trying to get the rest of this tape off of this so we're ready to go. All right, so this game, if you listen carefully, my motor's kind of quiet right now. So if you hear that whining noise. All right, so here's what this game is. It's like Operation. So inside, I have a battery pack. I have the siren, the buzzer that you were given. And then up here, I have uninsulated copper wire. So, and then Tupperware container. You were all given a Tupperware container. So what I did is I connected my batteries. I connected one end to the buzzer, and then the other end is connected to the copper wire that's going up here. And then I twisted and kind of curled my copper wire in a crazy pattern, brought it over here, taped it here. And then I also have connected, I made a little wand, and that's connected to the other side of the buzzer. So I pretty much just made this big giant circuit on here. And what happens is when, I get my connection back, when our copper wire ends up touching on here, it connects the circuit, it makes the buzzer go off. And so what your goal is with this game is to try and go all the way around the game without touching. And if you touch, the buzzer goes off. Just kind of like an operation. You had the little metal tweezers when you were trying to pick up the bones and things out of the body, but the edges were made of metal. So anytime you touched it, the game would buzz and let you know. Same thing here. So when you're trying to go around, my connection, there it is. So when you get in the wrong place, it's gonna buzz at you. When you're not touching, no noise. So the goal is to try and go all the way through the game without touching. And the minute you touch, the buzzer goes off. So I did have him, I asked him to upload the directions for this. If you want to try making this, if you were given the copper wire, you can do this game. If not, I'm going to show you the other option. It's the other option. All right, the other option is to make a wobble bot. And so the directions for this were posted. The directions are pretty long, 2 pages of directions to help you out. And there's 2 options for this. So I'm going to show you both. So here's one option. And so as you can see, there he goes. So this is wobble bot number 1. I'm going to grab him and turn him off. And this is, I know. Hang on. My steady hand game is letting me know that I'm losing. We're going to unplug you. All right. Good. And then this is option number 2. So same thing. Woo! He's going to go right off the table. So, ignore it again. Pulled him too hard there. All right. And he's really taking off here. So I'm going to show you how to build these. Hang on. My little alarm is letting me know that I am definitely losing the game right now. All right. So disconnect that. All right. So we've got 2 versions for wobble bots. You should have all the supplies for these. So in your kit, here's the things you're going to need to find. If you chose not to make your CD hovercraft, if you take the CD out of that kit, you can use the CD. That's the CD that I have here. You should also have a Tupperware container. So I have a drink lid. You were not given a drink lid. However, if you go to Dunkin', if you go to 7-Eleven, this is just the lid that they put on coffees and Slurpees. So if you get that lid, you can use this. Or you can use the lid or the bottom from your Tupperware container. Or if you don't want to do this, use the Tupperware container. I'm going to show you how to do that. I use my 2 AA battery pack. and 2 AA batteries. And then you were also given a motor. Now, again, I'm not sure which motor you were given. I have one motor. I'm going to come show you up close. I have one motor that has wires extending from it. I have one motor that does not have wires, but it has 2 little clips up here. So I'm not sure which one you got. Either one will work. So come back over here. So we've got our battery pack. We've got our batteries. We have a motor, a switch. So you should have a switch. Now, if you don't have a switch, you can still make this. It'll just be on, and you'll have to tape it in place and then untape it when you don't want to use it. This is what the switch looks like. It had really long cords on it, so I cut mine, I trimmed them, and then I, again, took the insulation off the ends. We want those exposed ends. So we have a battery pack, we have batteries, we have motors. I clipped the wires. We need electrical tape. You are also going to need, from your general supply kit, you're going to want to take a pencil. You're going to need the pencil. A brand new one is best. And you need your scissors and your wire cutters. So for this experiment, the first thing I would suggest you do is test and make sure that your motor works, that your batteries are fully charged. And so you want to connect them. If you have the ones with the wires, you're going to do opposites. And so I'm going to put my wires together here. Ooh. So I'm putting red to black, black to red, just touching them so they connect. And I will hear and feel the motor come on. This motor doesn't work just based on vibration. It actually spins. So I can hear that that's working. Now, if you have the motor that does not have the wires, what you want to do instead, again, this one has the little clips on it. You want to take your exposed wire from my battery pack, and I'm just going to flip it through the little holes. They're very small, but your wire will fit. And so if I touch it, you should be able to hear. It's hard to see because it's spinning so fast, but that motor is working. My batteries are good to go. Just so that when tested before we put this together, that helps me troubleshoot. If something doesn't work later, I can figure out why. All right, so I'm going to show you, there's 2 different ways to do this. I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of direction on how to do it with CD, but I'm really going to show you how to do it with the Tupperware container because I know you got the Tupperware container. You're going to take the lid off. You're going to work on the inside of the lid. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my wire cutters, and I'm going to hold them closed. Very carefully, I'm going to use them to kind of twist and poke until I poke a hole through my lid. The reason you want to do this slowly is because if you do it too fast, you're just going to crack the lid, because this is like very cheap Tupperware, which is good because it makes it easy to cut, but it's easy to crack. And then I'm going to use my wire cutters to very gently enlarge the hole I just made. So I'm going to kind of just use them to flip around in a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so I am making this hole in the middle of my Tupperware, and I'll get up close and show you the hole in just a second. So, got my hole, and I'll show you. Mine is not perfect by any means. So there's my hole in my Tupperware. Remember, the entire time you're doing this, you're working on the inside of the lid. So the next thing I'm going to do, again, just depends on which motor you've got. I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to take my wire cutters, and I'm going to very carefully trim off the eraser from my pencil, okay? So I'm taking the eraser off. For this one, I'm going to use the motor that doesn't have wires just to show you how to do that. All right, I have my motor. I'm going to insert it from the inside of the lid to the outside, and then I'm going to very gently twist and poke and get my eraser lid to go onto the motor. This is what's going to help it spin. If you just have the exposed part of the motor, it's not going to work as well. So you want to twist and put that eraser on. Of course, mine's going to be difficult. Twist, twist, twist. Do it slowly. If you do it too fast, you're just going to break the eraser because it's pretty small. All right. You feel it kind of trying to poke through the other end. So that's what it'll look like, okay? I've got the tip of the eraser on the motor. It's going through the lid. Obviously, that's pretty wobbly. So I'm actually gonna take this one apart too. I wanna show you as I'm building what I'm doing. So this is what it looks like open. So I'm gonna take some electrical tape. Oh, if I can find the end. I'm gonna take some electrical tape and I wanna anchor the motor in place. I'm gonna take a couple pieces and I'm just gonna tape my motor to the inside. I'm stressing that because the first time I did this, I accidentally put on the outside of the lid. It won't work if you do that because you can't clip your Tupperware together at the end. All right, so I'm gonna make this smaller. So I'm just using tape. I'm just going around the edges of my motor. I'm just securing it in place. All right, and I've got my two little exposed areas up there. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect my battery. And again, I want to test to make sure I'm connecting the right side when I do this. So yes. All right, so I'm going to take, for me, I'm going to start with the red wire. And I'm going to put it through the little metal hook on my battery, and I'm going to fold it over so that it stays in place, because you want the exposed copper of the wire to touch the metal on your battery. And then I'm going to use some electrical tape to hold it in place. All right. Now, the next step is, if you don't have a switch, you're going to be connecting this directly to the other port. I don't want to do it yet. And so what you're going to do is I am going to tape my battery holder in place. And so the next step is, let's tape the battery holder in place. It needs to be close to the motor, not going over the sides of the Tupperware, because you have to be able to close the Tupperware. And so even when you're using your tape, make sure your tape isn't going over the edges of your Tupperware lid, because then you can't close the Tupperware. So I'm just anchoring this in place, and I'm going to bring it up close again so you can see it. So I'm anchoring this on here. That's just so it doesn't move around to the side. Now, I'm going to show you what to do. If you don't have a switch, then we're just going to be connecting this, and it's just going to be on. And when you want to turn it off, you're just going to have to unhook the wires. And then I'm going to show you the same thing with a switch. So it's going to want to go before I can do anything. All right, so I am, you can hear it. I know. So I am connecting my motor, hang on. All right, so you can see, even without the lid, it's going. If I put the lid on, it's still gonna go. So there's my motor going. All right, so my wobble bot is pretty much done. So the reason we put the lid on is if you want to add eyes, antenna, you should have a ton of felt left over from the Harry Potter camp. You could cover this in felt and turn this into an animal. You could do all kinds of things to decorate it when you have that lid on. I'm going to show you though, if you do have the switch, we are going to go ahead and finish our circuit, and we are going to make the switch. And so I heard something. All right, so my switch is on. I'm going to turn it off. So if you see, I've got my switch off. So even though I'm completing the circuit, it's not moving. So what I want to do is take the exposed ends of my wire. I like to turn one into like a hook, and then turn the other one into a hook. And that way they are connected and touching each other, and it's harder for them to pull apart. And I'm going to use some more electrical tape. And all I'm doing right now is I am connecting my switch to my battery. And so I'm going to walk up and show you this really quick before I close the tape. All right, so on here, the motor, it's connected to the battery pack. The battery pack is now connected to my switch right now. And I'm just, like I said, I hooked the two exposed parts of the wire together so that they are touching. And then I am using electrical tape to close it. Right now, if I were to connect my circuit, nothing happens. That's because my switch is off. The minute I turn the switch on, circuit works. So I'm gonna turn the switch off. The same way switches work in your house. All right, now, could I connect this and just leave it the way it is? Sure, but I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna put the lid on. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna use my wire cutters again. And on one side of the Tupperware, I'm gonna do the same thing I did to the bottom. I'm gonna gently twist and push with my wire clippers until they go through the plastic. It is very easy to crack your Tupperware, so be careful. Matt, hi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a small hole inside of my Tupperware. So I'm just cutting around the edge, and I'll show you what I've done in just a second. Again, it's not going to be perfect. What we're doing on this side is we're making a hole that will be big enough for our switch to fit through. We need our switch is going to be on the inside. We need it to be on the outside of the Tupperware container. So I'm just kind of making a hole over here. And I'll walk up and show you that mine is like nowhere near like perfect. It's kind of raggedy. But you're not going to see it. We're going to cover up the edges with electrical tape. You don't want to make it too big, because then your switch is just going to fall through. So I'm going to come show you my little hole that I made. So here is the hole. So you can see my finger will fit through it. So what I'm going to do is come back over here, and I'm going to take my switch and I'm going to feed it through the hole from the inside of the Tupperware. So I'm going to take my switch and push it out through the hole. If it doesn't fit, you just need to make your hole bigger. It's kind of tricky to get the wire. I got to fit this all through. So there goes my switch. All right, so my switch is now on the outside. Let me put the rest of the wire back in. Yeah, you want both ends of your wire to be inside. You just want the switch to be on the outside. Actually, you just want the outside of the switch to be out. So, pop that back in here. I accidentally turned this on. We don't need it on right now. Not yet. All right, so I've got my switch on my Tupperware. I cracked my Tupperware a little bit. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my electrical tape and I'm going to close up. I'm going to secure my switch in place and kind of close up the sides. Also, just make it look better because, like I said, the hole's a little bit raggedy. So I'm going to use electrical tape to kind of cover up some of that and secure my switch in place. You don't want the switch to fall out of the box because then the switch will be on the inside. All right, I'm just using a little bit of electrical tape. We're going to secure that. Use a little bit on the bottom. Actually, I'm going to trim this and make this thinner. It's a smaller section. All right. Now, the last step is I need to finish my circuit. So I'm not sure if I got my switch on. So finding that. All right. So the last thing we're going to do is connect the last bit of exposed wire to my motor. Ooh, somewhere I pulled something apart. So I'm gonna have to check and somehow pulled my circuit apart. So we'll test and see what's wrong with this in a second. Oh, is this not turning on? You definitely want it off while you're doing this because I don't need the motor to accidentally come on. My wire has gotten uncoiled over here, so it's making it a little bit difficult to put it through the hole. It's a small hole. All right, got it. All right. So I now have the whole circuit connected, And again, you can use some electrical tape there to connect it. Now I have to figure out why mine's not working now, because at some point I think I pulled too hard and I've disconnected part of my circuit. Because what should happen, you should be able to close this, hit your switch, and have everything come on. So if it's not coming on, look, there it goes. Hang on. If it's not coming on, you got to troubleshoot why. Mine came on, so I fixed my connection, but I pulled my eraser off. All right, I put my eraser back on, and I should be able to turn this on and have it go. I'm gonna flip my switch. Woo! And there we go. So my wobble bot is definitely done, and it's going all over the place. I'm gonna switch it off. I'm gonna come show you again what it looks like. All right, so if I open this, just to show you the inside, again, I have my motor, my battery pack, my switch, and then all the wires are connected. Remember, circuit is a fancy word for circle, so you have to make a circle. You are connecting the motor to the battery pack to the light switch back to the motor to make your circuit. You need to make sure that you have exposed wire on all of the sections of wire and use that electrical tape to hold it in place. My switch, I just have the outside of the switch poking out, and I have everything secured in place with electrical tape. I have all my wires tucked inside so that I can put the lid back on. You gotta make sure your motor is actually all the way out the bottom of the Tupperware so it can spin. And then when you turn on your switch, so mine is going right now. And again, if I put them on the table, there he goes, all those running things. All right, so that is going to be your wobble bot. Again, this is going to take a little bit more time to build, and you might have to do some troubleshooting. If you have your CD and you want to go get a drink lid from Dunkin' Donuts or 7-Eleven, it's the same wobble bot. So it's the same little guy. There's the motor with a little eraser. There's your battery pack. The switch, we just put it through the hole where you normally put your straw at the top, but it's the exact same circuits, and we just added some wiggle eyes just to make them a little bit funnier. Same thing on this one. If your kid has wiggle eyes, I just put little wiggle eyes to give them a little face. But again, you have a ton of like craft supplies that should be left over from other projects, whether it's paper, feathers, felts, all kinds of stuff. So if you want to decorate them and actually make them look like a little creature, you can. But that's going to be your wobble bot. So that is going to be the end of your directions for today's activity. That's all. So we will see you one more time. Tomorrow is the very last class. So tomorrow, I think we're doing a fossil dig, and I'm going to be showing you a couple more things that you can do with Makey Makey. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you